255. 1. Introduction. 1.1. India is home to the largest child population in the world. The Constitution of India guarantees fundamental rights to all children in the country and empowers the state to make special provisions for children. The directive principles of state policy specifically guide the state in securing the tender age of children from abuse and ensuring that children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner in conditions of freedom and dignity. The state is responsible for ensuring that childhood is protected from exploitation and moral and material abandonment. 1.2 Declaring its children as the nation's supremely important asset. In the National Policy for Children, 1974, the Government of India reiterated its commitment to secure the rights of its children by ratifying related international conventions and treaties. These include the Declaration of the Rights of the Child, Universal Declaration of Human Rights and its covenants, the Convention on the Rights of the Child and its two optional protocols, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the United Nations Convention Against Transnational Organized Crime, the Protocol to Prevent, Suppress and Punish Trafficking in Women and Children, the Hague Convention on Protection of Children and Cooperation in Respect of Inter-Country Adoption, and the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. 1.3 The National Policy for Children, 1974 recognized that programs for children should find prominent place in national plans for the development of human resources, so that children grow up to become robust citizens, physically fit, mentally alert and morally healthy, endowed with the skills and motivations provided by society. The policy also laid emphasis on equal opportunities for the development of all children during the period of growth. 1.4 The National Charter for Children, 2003 adopted on the 9th of February 2004, underlined the intent to secure for every child its inherent right to be a child and enjoy a healthy and happy childhood, to address the root causes that negate the healthy growth and development of children, and to awaken the conscience of the community in the wider societal context to protect children from all forms of abuse, while strengthening the family, society and the nation. 1.5 To affirm the government's commitment to the rights-based approach in addressing the continuing and emerging challenges in the situation of children, the Government of India hereby adopts this resolution on the National Policy for Children, 2013. The National Policy for Children, 2013256. 2. Preamble. L. 2.1 Recognizing that a child is any person below the age of 18 years. Childhood is an integral part of life with a value of its own. Children are not a homogeneous group and their different needs need different responses, especially the multi-dimensional vulnerabilities experienced by children in different circumstances. A long-term, sustainable, multi-sectoral, integrated and inclusive approach is necessary for the overall and harmonious development and protection of children. 2.2 Reaffirming that every child is unique and a supremely important national asset. Special measures and affirmative action are required to diminish or eliminate conditions that cause discrimination. All children have the right to grow in a family environment, in an atmosphere of happiness, love and understanding. Families are to be supported by a strong social safety net in caring for and nurturing their children. The Government of India reiterates its commitment to safeguard, inform, include, support and empower all children within its territory and jurisdiction, both in their individual situation and as a national asset. The state is committed to take affirmative measures, legislative, policy or otherwise, to promote and safeguard the right of all children to live and grow with equity, dignity, security and freedom, especially those marginalized or disadvantaged. To ensure that all children have equal opportunities. And that no custom, tradition, cultural or religious practice is allowed to violate or restrict or prevent children from enjoying their rights. 2.3 This policy is to guide and inform all laws, policies, plans and programs affecting children. All actions and initiatives of the national, state and local government in all sectors must respect and uphold the principles and provisions of this policy. Every child has universal, inalienable and indivisible human rights. The rights of children are interrelated and interdependent, and each one of them is equally important and fundamental to the well-being and dignity of the child. 3. Guiding Principles 257. Every child has the right to life, survival, development, education, protection and participation. Right to life, survival and development goes beyond the physical existence of the child and also encompasses the right to identity and nationality. Mental, emotional, cognitive, social and cultural development of the child is to be addressed in totality. All children have equal rights and no child shall be discriminated against on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, class, language, and disability, social, economic or any other status. The best interest of the child is a primary concern in all decisions and actions affecting the child, whether taken by legislative bodies, courts of law, administrative authorities, public, private, social, religious or cultural institutions. Family or family environment is most conducive for the all-round development of children and they are not to be separated from their parents, except where such separation is necessary in their best interest. Every child has the right to a dignified life, free from exploitation. Safety and security of all children is integral to their well-being and children are to be protected from all forms of harm, abuse, neglect, violence, maltreatment and exploitation in all settings including care institutions, schools, hospitals, creches, families and communities. Children are capable of forming views and must be provided a conducive environment and the opportunity to express their views in any way they are able to communicate, in matters affecting them. Children's views, especially those of girls, children from disadvantaged groups and marginalized communities, are to be heard in all matters affecting them, in particular judicial and administrative proceedings and interactions, and their views given due consideration in accordance with their age, maturity and evolving capacities. Survival, health, nutrition, development, education, protection and participation are the undeniable rights of every child and are the key priorities of this policy. 4.1 The right to life, survival, health and nutrition is an inalienable right of every child and will receive the highest priority. 4. Key priorities. Survival, health and nutrition 258. 4.2 The state stands committed to ensure equitable access to comprehensive and essential, preventive, promotive, curative and rehabilitative health care, of the highest standard, for all children before, during and after birth, and throughout the period of their growth and development. 4.3 Every child has a right to adequate nutrition and to be safeguarded against hunger, deprivation and malnutrition. The state commits to securing this right for all children through access, provision and promotion of required services and supports for holistic nurturing, well-being with nutritive attainment of all children, keeping in view their individual needs at different stages of life in a life cycle approach. 4.4 The state shall take all necessary measures to improve maternal health care, including antenatal care, safe delivery by skilled health personnel, postnatal care and nutritional support. Provide universal access to information and services for making informed choices related to birth and spacing of children. Secure the right of the girl child to life, survival, health and nutrition. Address key causes and determinants of child mortality through interventions based on continuum of care, with emphasis on nutrition, safe drinking water, sanitation and health education. We encourage focused behavior change communication efforts to improve newborn and childcare practices at the household and community level. We provide universal and affordable access to services for prevention, treatment, care and management of neonatal and childhood illnesses and protect children from all waterborne, vector-borne, blood-borne, communicable and other childhood diseases. We prevent disabilities, both mental and physical, through timely measures for prenatal, perinatal and postnatal health and nutrition care of mother and child, provide services for early detection, treatment and management, including interventions to minimize and prevent further disabilities, prevent discrimination faced by children with disabilities mental and physical, and provide services for rehabilitation and social support. We ensure availability of essential services, supports and provisions for nutritive attainment in a life cycle approach, including infant and young child feeding, IYCF practices, special focus on adolescent girls and other vulnerable groups, and special measures for the health, care and nutrition, including nutrition education, of expectant and nursing mothers. Provide adolescents access to information, support and services essential for their health and development, including information and support on 259. Appropriate lifestyle and healthy choices and awareness on the ill effects of alcohol and substance abuse. Prevent HIV infections at birth and ensure infected children receive medical treatment, adequate nutrition and aftercare, and are not discriminated against in accessing their rights. Ensure that only child-safe products and services are available in the country and put in place mechanisms to enforce safety standards for products and services designed for children. Provide adequate safeguards and measures against false claims relating to growth, development and nutrition. 4.5 Every child has equal right to learning, knowledge and education. The state recognizes its responsibility to secure this right for every child, with due regard for special needs, through access, provision and promotion of required environment, information, infrastructure, services and supports towards the development of the child's fullest potential. 4.6 The state shall take all necessary measures to provide universal and equitable access to quality early childhood care and education for optimal development and active learning capacity of all children below 6 years of age. Ensure that every child in the age group of 6 to 14 years is in school and enjoys the fundamental right to education as enshrined in the Constitution. Promote affordable and accessible quality education up to the secondary level for all children. Foster and support intersectoral networks and linkages to provide vocational training options including comprehensively addressing age-specific and gender-specific issues of children's career choices through career counseling and vocational guidance. We ensure that all out-of-school children such as child laborers, migrant children, trafficked children, children of migrant labor, street children, child victims of alcohol and substance abuse, children in areas of civil unrest, orphans, children with disability, mental and physical, children with chronic ailments, married children, children of manual scavengers, children of sex workers, children of prisoners, etc. are tracked, rescued, rehabilitated and have access to their right to education. We address discrimination of all forms in schools and foster equal opportunity, treatment and participation irrespective of place of birth, sex. Education and Development 260. Religion, disability, language, region, caste, health, social, economic or any other status. We prioritize education for disadvantaged groups by creating enabling environment through necessary legislative measures, policy and provisions. We ensure physical safety of the child and provide safe and secure learning environment. Ensure that all processes of teaching and learning are child-friendly. Ensure formulation and practice of pedagogy that engages and delights children, with a special focus on mental health, from a social and gender-just, life skills and age-appropriate perspective. Provide access to ICT tools for equitable, inclusive and affordable education for all children especially in remote, tribal and hard-to-reach areas. Promote safe and enjoyable engagement of children's experiences with new technology in accordance with their age and level of maturity, even as there is respect for their own culture and roots. Review, develop and sustain age-specific initiatives, services and programs for safe spaces for play, sports, recreation, leisure, cultural and scientific activities for children in neighborhoods, schools and other institutions. Enable children to develop holistically, bringing out their aspirations, with focus on their strengths, empowering them to take control of their lives, bodies and behaviors. We ensure no child is subjected to any physical punishment or mental harassment. Promote positive engagement to impart discipline so as to provide children with a good learning experience. I ensure that children's health is regularly monitored through the school health program and arrangements are made for health and emergency care of children. Provide services to children with special needs in regular schools and ensure that these are inclusive and have all facilities such as trained teachers and special educators, appropriate pedagogy and education material, barrier-free access for mobility, functional toilets and co-curricular activities towards the development of child's fullest potential and autonomy and sense of dignity and self-worth. We promote engagement of families and communities with schools for all-round development of children, with emphasis on good health, hygiene and sanitation practices, including sensitization on ill effects of alcohol and substance abuse 261. Facilitate concerted efforts by local governments, non-governmental organizations, community-based organizations to map gaps in availability of educational services, especially in backward, child labor-intensive areas, areas of civil unrest, and in situations of emergency, and efforts for addressing them. Identify, encourage and assist gifted children, particularly those belonging to the disadvantaged groups, through special programs. Provide and promote creche and daycare facilities for children of working mothers, mothers belonging to poor families, ailing mothers and single parents. Promote appropriate baby feeding facilities in public places and at workplaces for working mothers in public, private and unorganized sector. 4.7 A safe, secure and protective environment is a precondition for the realization of all other rights of children. Children have the right to be protected wherever they are. 4.8 The state shall create a caring, protective and safe environment for all children, to reduce their vulnerability in all situations and to keep them safe at all places, especially public spaces. 4.9 The state shall protect all children from all forms of violence and abuse, harm, neglect, stigma, discrimination, deprivation, exploitation including economic exploitation and sexual exploitation, abandonment, separation, abduction, sale or trafficking for any purpose or in any form, pornography, alcohol and substance abuse, or any other activity that takes undue advantage of them, or harms their personhood or affects their development. 4.10 To secure the rights of children temporarily or permanently deprived of parental care, the state shall endeavor to ensure family and community-based care arrangements including sponsorship, kinship, foster care and adoption, with institutionalization as a measure of last resort, with due regard to the best interests of the child and guaranteeing quality standards of care and protection. 4.11 The state commits to taking special protection measures to secure the rights and entitlements of children in need of special protection, characterized by their specific social, economic and geopolitical situations, including their need for rehabilitation and reintegration, in particular but not limited to, children affected by migration, displacement, communal or sectarian violence, civil unrest, disasters and calamities, street children, children of sex workers, children forced into commercial sexual exploitation, abused and exploited children, children forced into begging, children in conflict and contact with the law, children in situations of labor, children of prisoners, children affected by HIV/AIDS, children with disabilities, children affected by alcohol and substance abuse, children of manual scavengers and children from any other socially excluded group, children affected by armed conflict and any other category of children requiring care and protection. Protection 262. 4.12 The state shall promote child-friendly jurisprudence, enact progressive legislation, build a preventive and responsive child protection system, including emergency outreach services, and promote effective enforcement of punitive legislative and administrative measures against all forms of child abuse and neglect to comprehensively address issues related to child protection. 4.13 The state shall promote and strengthen legislative, administrative and institutional redressal mechanisms at the national and state level for the protection of child rights. For local grievances, effective and accessible grievance redressal mechanisms shall be developed at the program level. 4.14 The state has the primary responsibility to ensure that children are made aware of their rights, and provided with an enabling environment, opportunities and support to develop skills, to form aspirations and express their views in accordance with their age, level of maturity and evolving capacities, so as to enable them to be actively involved in their own development and in all matters concerning and affecting them. 4.15 The state shall promote and strengthen respect for the views of the child, especially those of the girl child, children with disabilities and of children from minority groups or marginalized communities, within the family, community, schools and institutions, different levels of governance, as well as in judicial and administrative proceedings that concern them. 4.16 The state shall engage all stakeholders in developing mechanisms for children to share their grievances without fear in all settings. Monitor effective implementation of children's participation through monitorable indicators. Develop different models of child participation. And undertake research and documentation of best practices. 5.1 The state shall encourage the active involvement, participation and collective action of stakeholders such as individuals, families, local communities, non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, media and private sector including government in securing the rights of the child. 5.2 The state shall make planned, coordinated and concerted efforts to raise public awareness on child rights and entitlements amongst the parents and caregivers, guardians as well as functionaries and duty bearers. All stakeholders are to promote the use of rights-based and equity-focused strategies, platforms, programs, communications and other tools to generate awareness on child rights and the commitment to their achievement. 5.3 This policy is to be given wide publicity and supported by focused advocacy measures to ensure that children's best interests and rights are accorded the highest priority in participation. 5. Advocacy and partnerships 263. Areas of policy, planning, resource allocation, governance, monitoring and evaluation, and children's voices and views are heard in all matters and actions which impact their lives. 5.4 The state shall ensure that service delivery and justice delivery mechanisms and structures are participatory, responsive and child-sensitive, thereby enhancing transparency and ensuring public accountability. Synergistic linkages will be created with other progressive and successful experiments to learn from best practices across regions. 6.1 Addressing the rights and needs of children requires programming across different sectors and integrating their impact on the child in a synergistic way. Rights-based approach to survival, development and protection calls for conscious, convergent and collateral linkages among different sectors and settings, with indicators for tracking progress. 6.2 Community and local governance play a significant role in ensuring the child's optimum development and social integration. Ensuring coordination among central government ministries, departments, between central and state governments, between different levels of governance and between government and civil society is crucial for effective implementation of this policy. 6.3. The Ministry of Women and Child Development (MWCD) will be the nodal ministry for overseeing and coordinating the implementation of this policy. The National Coordination and Action Group (NCAG) for children under the minister in charge of the Ministry of Women and Child Development will monitor the progress with other concerned ministries as its members. Similar coordination and actions groups will be formed at the state and district level. 6.4. The Ministry of Women and Child Development, in consultation with all related ministries and departments, will formulate a national plan of action for children. Similar plans at the state, district and local level will be formulated to ensure action on the provisions of this policy. The national, state and district coordination and action groups will monitor the progress of implementation under these plans. 6.5 The National Commission for Protection of Child Rights and State Commissions for Protection of Child Rights will ensure that the principles of this policy are respected in all sectors at all levels in formulating laws, policies and programs affecting children. 7.1 The implementation of this policy will be supported by a comprehensive and reliable knowledge base on all aspects of the status and condition of children. Establishing such a knowledge base would be enabled through child-focused research and documentation, both quantitative as well as qualitative. A continuous process of indicator-based child impact assessment and evaluation will be. 6. Coordination, action and monitoring. 7. Research, documentation and capacity building. 264. Developed, and assessment and evaluation will be carried out on the situation of children in the country, which will inform policies and programs for children. 7.2 Professional and technical competence and capability in all aspects of programming, managing, working and caring for children at all levels in all sectors will be ensured through appropriate selection and well-planned capacity development initiatives. All duty bearers working with children will be sensitized and oriented on child rights and held accountable for their acts of omission and commission. 8.1 The state commits to allocate the required financial, material and human resources, and their efficient and effective use, with transparency and accountability, to implement this policy. 8.2 Child budgeting will track allocation and utilization of resources and their impact on outcomes for children with regard to budgets and expenditures on children by all related ministries and departments. 9.1 A comprehensive review of this policy will be taken up once in 5 years in consultation with all stakeholders, including children. The Ministry of Women and Child Development will lead the review process. 8. Resource allocation. 9. Review of Policy 265. Central Board of Secondary Education. 2. Community Center, Preet Vihar, Delhi. Th. DAPA 38 2003 the 5th of September, 2000. Adolescence, a period in life that begins with biological maturation, during which individuals are expected to accomplish certain developmental tasks, and that ends when they achieve a self-sufficient state of adulthood as defined by society. Age changes, biological and experiential changes that accompany aging, irrespective of cultural or historical context. AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, a sexually transmitted disease resulting from a virus that attacks the immune system. Can also be transmitted through contaminated blood transfusions or from an infected pregnant woman to her fetus. Alcohol, a drug that functions as a central nervous system depressant. Anxiety, it is a common emotion which can be positive or negative. It is commonly known as the body's natural fight or flight. It is a response of an individual to stressful experiences. Assertiveness, it is a particular mode of communication. Dolan's Medical Dictionary defines assertiveness as a form of behavior which affirms the person's rights or point of view without either aggressively threatening the rights of another or submissively permitting another to ignore one's rights or point of view. Attitude, a tendency to respond positively or negatively towards a certain idea, object, person, or situation. Attitude influences an individual's responses to different stimuli. Attribute, an attribute is a characteristic of an object, person, thing, etc. B. Behavior, a range of actions and mannerisms made by organisms or systems in response to various stimuli or inputs, whether internal or external. It is the external expression of our mental processes. 270. Bullying, repeated aggressive behaviors or remarks occurring over an extended period of time that the victim finds difficult to defend against. C. Cognition, the process of organizing and making meaning of experience. Interpreting a statement, solving a problem, synthesizing information, critically analyzing a complex task. All are cognitive activities. Competency, it is the ability of an individual to do a job properly. Conformity, the tendency to go along with the norms and standards of one's group. Cooperative learning, placing students of different ability levels together in small working groups. Coping strategies for managing stressful situations that tax personal resources. Curiosity, it refers to the inquisitiveness on the part of an individual. It is a disposition to inquire, investigate, or seek after knowledge. It is a desire to gratify the mind with new information or objects of interest. D. Desire, it is a sense of longing for a person or object or hoping for an outcome. Depression, an affective disorder that may take a number of forms, all of which are characterized by a disturbance of mood. Dislike, it is an attitude or a feeling of distaste or aversion. It is an inclination to withhold approval from some person or group. A. Early adolescence, that period of adolescence between the ages of about 11 to 15, marked by the onset of 271. Puberty, changing gender roles, more autonomous relationships with parents, and more mature relationships with peers. Emerging adulthood, a period between adolescence and adulthood characterized by demographic unpredictability and increased opportunity for identity exploration. Empathy, the capacity to share an emotional response with another person, as well as the ability to discriminate the other's perspective and role. Envy, it is a feeling of ill will towards someone else. It is an emotion that often causes low self-esteem or low self-confidence. Experiential learning, it is the process of making meaning from direct experience or learning from experience. Experiment, a research procedure in which participants are randomly assigned to groups that are then treated differently. Exploration, the process of exploring possibilities and life options in achieving an identity. G. Gender. The cultural and psychological contributions to being female or male. Guidance. A process of helping individuals through their own efforts to discover and solve their own problems. It is developing the potentialities of the individual by an expert for his personal and social usefulness. I. Identity, the part of one's personality of which one is aware and is able to see as a meaningful and coherent whole. K. Knowledge, it can refer to familiarity with facts, information, skills, data or information. 272. L. Late adolescence. The period of adolescence between the ages of about 16 to 19 that is organized around the central task of achieving an identity, in which adolescents integrate their sexuality into their relationships, prepare for a vocation, and fashion a personal set of beliefs. Learning disability. Difficulty with academic tasks that is not due to emotional or sensory problems and presumably reflects neurological dysfunction. Lifestyle. A way of living of individuals, which they manifest in coping with their physical, psychological, social, and economic environments on a day-to-day basis. M. Maturation. A potential confound resulting from systematic changes over time that are not due to the treatment being studied. Middle school. A secondary school that includes the 6th through the 8th grades. Motivation. A process of arousing, maintaining, and controlling one's interest in a certain activity. O. Open-ended questions. These are unstructured questions in which possible answers are not suggested and the respondent answers it in his or her own words. P. Peer group. A group of individuals of the same age. A social group that regulates the pace of specialization. Peer pressure. It is influence exerted by a peer group. It encourages individuals to change their attitudes, values and behavior in order to conform to group norms. 273. Physical. Physical means relating to the structure, size, or shape of something that can be touched and seen. It pertains to the body of an object, person, thing, etc. Psychological, it relates to the mind or mental activity or phenomena. It is a subject matter of psychology. Psychosocial abilities, these are the abilities which allow an individual to interact with, perceive, influence and relate to others. These abilities must work together with our communication skills to enable us to interact appropriately with other individuals and function within a socially meaningful context. R. Reinforcement, any event that when contingent on a behavior increases the probability of that behavior occurring again. Relationship. A relationship is normally viewed as a connection between individuals, such as parent-child relationship. Resilient, characterized by attitudes and social skills that enable individuals to function in a variety of settings. Role models. Individuals whose patterns of behaviors are often observed, held in high regard, and used to guide the thoughts, feelings and actions of others. S. Sarcasm. It is a sharp, bitter remark usually conveyed through irony. Self-efficacy. It is a measure of one's own ability to complete tasks and reach goals. It is a person's belief in his or her ability to succeed in a particular situation. It affects the ability of an individual to face challenges competently. It is distinct from self-esteem, confidence, and self-concept. Self-esteem. The evaluative dimension of the self that includes feelings of worthiness, pride and discouragement. 274. Self-regulation. Setting goals, evaluating one's own performance, and adjusting one's behavior flexibly to achieve these goals in the context of ongoing feedbacks. Sexual maturity. It is the age or stage when an organism can reproduce. In humans, the process of sexually maturing is termed puberty. Social skills training. A component of social cognitive intervention programs. Strategies. Activities that organize cognition so as to improve performance, such as repeating a phone number or categorizing a list of things to be remembered. Stress. The body's response to an event that requires adapting to changes brought about by that event. Strengths. It is a state or quality of being physically or mentally strong. Social sensitivity. Greenspan views social sensitivity as a person's ability to correctly interpret the meaning of a social object or event. Values. Values are important and long-lasting beliefs or ideals followed by the individuals in a particular culture. Values determine what is good and what is not. They exert influence on the behavior of an individual. Weaknesses. It is a state or quality of being physically or mentally weak. Creative thinking, critical thinking, effective communication, interpersonal skills. DACISION. Making problem solving, self-awareness, empathy, managing emotions, coping with stress, life skills.